Okay, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. So, as a follow-up to the build of the MPC GTO, Pontiac GTO Super Stocker, at the end of that video, I had mentioned that, somewhere along the way, I did not get this rear axle sighted up. But the more I've been looking at it, I noticed there is another issue, which is the side pipes. The opening does not seem to be big enough. And looking at the dashboard, you can see the whole frame is sitting skewed in the car because of the way that side pipe comes out. So actually I have two things going on here. This opening, at least, and this is all, understand this is all in the context of how I built the kit. So, and that will be the point of this video. So I need to make two corrections here, which will be to open up this hole for this exhaust pipe and to do something to move this rear axle back. So at the end of the build video for this kit, I said, you know what, I'm fine, and I'm going to leave it alone. But turns out I'm not fine because the more I see it sitting there, the more it is aggravating me. So I want to go and fix it. So the subject for this video, or the topic for this video, once again, like I said, a little something different, is to just show, when a build is done, doesn't mean that's what you're stuck with. You can go back and revisit something. So in this episode, going to see about doing corrections on this to make it a little bit better than it is right now, so that when I look at it, I do not keep wondering, could have done better. So, going to get to that, and we shall see what we can do. As usual, thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe, hit the alert button, all that good YouTube stuff, and let's get to this. All right. Okay, so what we need to do here is figure out where we need to move things. So let's look at the front and rear axle, and now I'm going to measure with my handy ruler here to figure out where I need to move that axle, or how much I need to move that axle. And now it's disassembly time. So I know from putting the kit together, it's much easier to take the body off without the tires. So off come the tires, now off comes the body. And as you can see, a little tricky getting it off around that exhaust pipe. So now just using a knife, going to start whittling away there and opening that up so I have more space for that pipe to pass through. And it's just a matter of working it and then test fitting. And now with it in there, front axle looks good, rear axle still no good, a little better, but still no good. So the other thing, now looking at it, you can see the frame is sitting parallel to the rear, parallel to the front, and parallel along the length of the body. So the twist that was in there before is now gone. Now to resight the axle, just going to measure, and millimeters are easy for a fine measurement like this. So checking to see that I need to move it by looking at the gap ahead of the wheel and the gap behind the wheel. So now here is just disassembling. And if you have built a kit and don't remember how it comes apart, this is why instructions are always a good thing to hold on to. Since I just built this one, I knew exactly how it would come apart. So just working those joints. And now here, from my measuring of the wheel to the body, now marking off the difference between those two measurements so I know how far back I need to move that rear frame. And now just working again the parts to get them separate, and there we go. So now reattaching and using those two marks as reference, but very important when you do this, whenever you separate pieces that were glued and go to reglue them, make sure you whittle down or sand down, whatever the case may be, to a fresh plastic surface, because your joint will work much better. So now reattaching using my tester cement, because I wanted to make sure I had a little bit of working time to make sure I sighted this up. And then switching to CA glue for reattaching that drive shaft and guard. Now here, I'm going to use a little stock styrene and going to work this piece to make 2 plates that I need of this reattachment. So I'm just going to take a scissor and cut to what I, just visually guesstimating the size I will need. It doesn't need to be anything scientific. Sometimes when you do these things, just as always, simple is best. So now that I've cut a section loose, just going to cut it along the spine so that I get 2 plates, because either side of that L bracket is just the right size to span the frame, as you can see right here. So now that they're the same length, using Mr. Cement, because it works very well with this stock styrene, so putting those 2 plates in place. And there we go. They are now on there. Now switching to square stock tube, and this is to cut 2 sections, as we see here, which I'm going to add to the bottom of the kit, and this is to cover up some of those nasty scars from having opened up the assembly. So just going to drop those in. And then to smooth out that joint, a little Tamiya putty. So just going to take a glop of that, especially on the open ends of that squack, to seal that off. So that is covered up. And this later, now getting off the excess, there will of course be cleanup and some sanding and painting. But in this part now, attaching those little frame joiners. Notice that I am using the longer ones that came with the kit rather than the shorter ones, which the instructions had indicated, because now I have to span a little bit of extra length. And moving back to the body while all that dries, sanding down the whittling I had done, and this too, once the sanding is done and that's nice and smooth, all set. Okay, so now that the grunt work is done, it's just a matter of time of painting. So here, just laying down an undercoat of steel to give the orange some depth to match the rest of the frame, touching up the semi-gloss black that I butchered up, and then putting down the first of 2 coats of orange to get that frame painted back up. And here we are with the painting done. There's the yellow on the body. So between the whittling and the sanding, looks just fine. And then going to our chassis, and now with 2 coats of orange on there, pretty well said and done. You can see, it's not a perfectly smooth job. I wasn't looking for that at this point. I just wanted it fixed. So fixed it is. And for the subject matter, the fact that it's a little rough doesn't really bother me. More importantly is the setting of the wheels, because that's what I wanted to repair. And now laying the body next to the chassis, even though they're going different directions, doesn't matter. We're just looking for the centering of the wheels to the wheel wells, and even though the perspective is a little off from the angle of the camera, they do line up, and that's exactly what we want to see. So now it's just a matter of putting it back together. Tires and body will go on, and we are ready to go. Now here we're looking at, just quickly, side by side, pre and post. So on top is the original, and on the bottom is the corrected stance, highlighted by the green circles to show how the wheelbase, and really it's just turned out to be a 3mm stretch on the frame. That's all it took. Okay, so modification is done. and put those tires on, pop the frame back into the body, the chassis back into the body, which now that the hole is open for this exhaust, the body went on so much easier. But more importantly, looking at our wheels, and if you watch the build video for the kit, I did glue the knuckles in place because it does have positioning and steering in the kit, but that loosened up while I was fiddling with everything. But with the wheel now straight, you can see these wheels are now centered in their wheel wells, which makes me so happy. And also on this side, the same deal. Everything is now centered in the wheel wells, and pardon the loose hood, but looking at the undercarriage, we can see as well parallel in the back, back of the frame to the back of the car, parallel to the front, and parallel along the long axis of the car. Much maybe easier to say it this way. Parallel along the long axis, which means when it sits, we don't have wheels askew in their wheel wells. So now, when this is done and I look at it on my shelf, I'm not going to get annoyed. Oh, and also looking at the dashboard, the way that sits in there against the windshield, it's nice and even across and level looking at it straight on. So there we go. Now, I did this just as obviously a very simple example on how you can go ahead and fix something that perhaps did not go quite right when you're doing a build. There we go. Now, obviously, since this being a relatively simple fix, if you're in a little bit of a more complicated situation, obviously the fix is going to be more complicated. But what I wanted to do with this little postscript to the build for this kit is to show you that once the kit is done, it's not set in stone. And if you need to go back and correct a mistake, the correction will be in perspective to the scope of the mistake. Now, this, as I said, was relatively simple and straightforward, but even if it's not something that you want to fix as a mistake, suppose you want to go back and modify something, as long as you keep in mind how the kit went together, which is why I always say hold on to your instructions, because, if the kit's been sitting on your shelf for, let's say, 6 months or a year, and you decide to go back to it, you may not necessarily remember how everything fits together. So having those instructions will not only remind you how to take it apart, but before you touch anything, you can then look at the instructions and have a little bit of a better planning as to what you want to do and how you can go about doing it. And then you saw I just used some L-angle stock styrene and some box styrene, stock styrene from Evergreen. And with just a few of those stock styrene supplies, there's actually quite a bit you can do with your kits. Well, I don't know how many, but certainly a number of my build videos, you've seen me take those out. And really, the ones I rely on are flat strips, the square stock, the angle, and I have some tube stock. And just from those, there's a lot you can fix and a lot you can mimic to blend into the build. So, especially when you're new to the hobby, you're going to make mistakes. I'm not exactly new, and I made a mistake. So everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, drops the ball here and there. So it's not something to beat yourself up over. It's certainly not anything to lose sleep over, but when you run into these things, it's look at it as another way to learn a skill for your hobby experience, because sometimes learning how to fix something that went wrong can give you a whole lot of insight on how you can add things, let's say, to a future build. Modify this, work on something to bring in a little more detail. It's really just a matter of getting comfortable in working with the plastic and different shapes. And, you saw me use some putty. I also used this Tester's clear part cement to cover up some of the joints. This is, in that use, this is almost like silicone that you would use for grouting in a shower or something like that. You can just drop it in there and it fills the gap, especially on something like a roll cage. You're going to get a rounded, smooth surface with this, and that blends in great with the roll cage. So, and again, sometimes you just have to play with things and experiment to see not only what you can do, but what you, as the person doing it, is comfortable doing. So, I used putty. I'm not a terribly big fan of having to use putty. I actually find this a lot easier to use. Just my preference, and what I'm willing to get out of my build, which is the other key point here. Just because you build something and it is not perfect to the way you wanted it, doesn't mean you have to start tearing it apart and trying to do a fix. If you, and I broke this again. If you are satisfied with your build when it's done, that is the only benchmark you need to work to, because it's a hobby. You should be enjoying it and having fun. You should not be super critiquing what you did to beat yourself up, unless you're super critiquing to say, oh, I could have done this differently and that would have come out better. That's learning. That's not super critiquing or beating yourself up. So there we go. Well, that was a couple of lectures for the day. But that's going to wrap up that. And as I said, I am so happy I have this fixed now, because now I enjoy looking at it that much more. Because for me, with something like this, it's not so much a matter of, gee, I made a mistake, is that it doesn't feel like I finished. And I guess it's a thing in my head. I need to know that I'm finished with things, whether it's watching a movie, reading a book, writing a book, building a model, whatever. I'm not comfortable walking away from something until I feel that I have done it as best as I can do it. So now I have. There we go. And again, from my opinion and my impression, and like I said, that's the point of it. Do things so that you are satisfied with them. Always remember, that is the yardstick. All right. So there we go. I squeezed in one more lecture for the day. So that's it. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you with the next build.